Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Okay. Hello, everyone. If you're new, my name's Connor. Hello, I like to learn about history, the YouTube, all the things, all right? History, channel, reactions. That's what we do here. Original link at the top description below. Right below that is a link to the Discord. Click on that. Go right on over. Trying to create that water bubbler, watering hole atmosphere around history on YouTube and Discord. Love to have you. Join the family. Pull up a chair. More the merrier. Okay. The Rotten Royals of Old England. Let's do it. How do you guys like my cartoon up here? I've been fascinating, and I hope none of this is like offensive or anything. I'm just a simple American over here that saw a cartoon that I thought looked cool, and I'm putting it up there. Let's go. Let's do it. Simple history. I must have reacted to them before. If not, I've definitely seen Evolution of British Uniforms. Armchair Historian. I'd like to watch that as well. Yeah, I must have seen this before, but if not, then first time for everything. Let's do it.
This video is sponsored by Magellan TV. Check out their documentary streaming service to learn even more about history from history.
Hey, man.
Over the pure lush land of the British these stories took place upon. There's no CG here, just the pure lush.
I would love to. You can just plop me down there. I know it's probably not easy to get access to one of these places, but if I could, I would just walk around there, just looking at the architecture and wondering how they built all this stuff and being amazed by the engineering it took. And I would love to do that. But, you know, get your money, man.
They
wow.
have the largest collection out there, and their weekly content drops ensure you'll never run out of things to watch. Or you'll be glad
that was really cool, actually.
Click on the link to return.
Okay, I can look at English castles later.
Lapse, you can still claim this offer. Click on the link in the description to try Magellan TV
Henry.
now. You'll be glad you did. The Rotten Royals of Old England. The British monarchs of the modern era are cultured, educated, and well-mannered. They exude sophistication, class, and elegance, acting as a moral figurehead to their subjects. However, the English kings and queens of the medieval and early modern period were a far cry from their more refined and polished descendants of today. The English monarchs of the past were disgusting, crude, and brash. Many of their habits, customs, and actions are considered impolite, rude, or gross by today's standards, and they often overindulged in their respective vices. William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror, England's first Norman king, was
this reminds me of, I was watching this video on gout. You know, it's like the disease where it's like the rich person's disease where like you didn't get a lot of exercise or didn't move a lot and you had a bad diet and ate a lot of food and your feet would like... It didn't look like a good time. Yeah, this made me think of that.
William the Conqueror, England's first Norman king, was a short-tempered and merciless ruler who grew obese later in life due to his fondness for excessive food and drink. William, Duke of Normandy, defeated Harold Godwinson, the Anglo-Saxon king of England, at the decisive Battle of Hastings in October 1066. He was crowned king on Christmas Day of the same year. William had a well-documented short temper and had extraordinary fits of rage. In one instance,
how old is chess, by the way?
He smashed a chessboard over the
Curious. I know I could learn that in a simple Google search.
French prince after losing to him in a game of chess. As William grew older, his anger was matched only by his gluttony, both of which may have contributed to his early death and disastrous funeral. William's stomach grew so large in his later years that even portly Philip I of France commented on William's extraordinary potbelly, stating that William looked pregnant. In 1087, William...
He called me fat, go get him!
The French county of Vexin, demanding the territory from Philip.
The horse! Okay, so I'm getting the, I wasn't sure what the title meant, but, so the title is literal. The Rotten Royals of Old England. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to be surprised by a lot of... I just love how... Does that have, like, the anime, like, horse, like... those 4 lines that like he's not having a good time. He's having like, but I feel like I'm not going to be very surprised. I imagine, you know, when people are given ultimate authority and can do nothing wrong, and they're in times when hygiene just wasn't put highly up and health wasn't seen in a scientific view, I guess, then I'm sure there's going to be some nasty stuff. But this is great. The horse, that gave me a laugh.
The French king rejected William's claim. The corpulent William then led a raid on the French town of Mantes, where he fell over the front side of his saddle, possibly due to his protruding stomach. William fatally damaged his internal organs and died about 5 to 6 weeks later from an infection caused by his injuries. At William's funeral, the servants attempted to stuff his long, bloated corpse into an undersized tomb.
How long had he been dead?
Results. His decaying body burst open and his putrid innards filled the room with a horrific stench.
I'm picturing the whales. Look up on YouTube, like exploding whale carcass. Yeah, it's kind of weird that I. Anyways, that's what I'm picturing right now.
The end to nasty habits. Edward III. Edward III was a famously foul medieval monarch who pushed England into the 100 Years' War with France. After his mother Isabella of France deposed her husband, King Edward II, with the help of her lover, Lord Mortimer, Edward ascended to the throne of England in 1327 at the age of 14. The young King Edward III was essentially a puppet of his mother and Mortimer.
That happened a lot, I see, in a lot of history videos.
Mortimer executed
when there's like a young male heir, the mother like calls the shots a lot. I see that in a lot of the history videos I watch on different time periods and in different areas of the world too.
1330, Mortimer, until he stripped her of political influence and had Mortimer executed in 1330. Although Edward rose to power as a young teenager, led England into a devastating war with its cross-channel rival, and ruled during the Great Plague outbreak, he will always be remembered for the disgusting habits of his childhood. As a child,
I'd be so pissed
Edward
off if I was the soldier
and had dirty habits when being taught his lessons.
I'm pausing so much. Whatever. This is a fun video. I can pause. Like, if you're a soldier, every time I got a command, I know all you literalists over here on history, YouTube, yeah, you follow orders, I get it. But I would just be like, every order I was given, I was like, did the kid tell you that? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we taking orders? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure that they would, in terms of major military decisions, they wouldn't just let like a 13-year-old or 14-year-old kid make that, right? I could be wrong, but that sounds pretty, hey, it's a different time, everyone. If I seem judgmental at all, I shouldn't be. I'm looking at it from a modern-day lens, and stuff's going to be gross and seem crazy.
Which is reading. According to his teacher, Edward would eat cheese and fruit while he read, spilling the crumbs and juice all over his books. Edward also
I do that with my computer all the time.
Onto the pages of his reading material. Henry VII and Henry VIII, groom of the stool. The Tudor monarchs appear to display an air of pomp and grandeur, but they may in fact be England's messiest royal dynasty. The first Tudor monarch, Henry VII, was crowned King of England in 1485 after he defeated and killed the Yorkist King Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field. By 1495, Henry VII created the Privy Chamber, a team assembled to manage the king's private quarters. One member of the Privy Chamber held a unique position that was prominent, highly sought after, and frankly, quite disgusting.
I've made it. That's what he's thinking right now. He's like, Mom, I did it.
Position that was prominent,
the sound of success,
and frankly quite disgusting. That position was the groom of the stool, a truly messy job. The groom of the stool's responsibility was to handle all matters relating to the king's bodily excrement. He tended to the king's portable toilet, known as a stool, and made sure water, towels, and a wash bowl were available for the king upon the completion of his business.
Someone's got to do it, man, all right? They don't have plumbing. All you 21st century people being like, just flush. There's just a plate of
for cleaning out the king's stool. Upon the monarch's death, the groom was given the king's chamber pot and stool as a keepsake
You
of
can
his
keep it.
grossly intimate royal duties. This role may seem foul and undesirable.
It did say he
but
got
was
his-
given the king's chamber pot and stool as a keepsake of his grossly intimate royal duties.
Thank you, sir.
This role may seem foul and undesirable, but by the end of Henry VII's reign in 1509, the groom of the stool had become a highly coveted and an incredibly influential
It's
position.
an important job.
The groom wielded immense power due to his intimate relationship with the king, and he was assigned a variety of important administrative tasks.
No one else knows my butthole as well as you, sir. Thank you, sire.
Related to royal waste. Henry VIII's first groom of the stool, Sir William Compton, was a close advisor to the king and was tasked with running the privy chamber, handling the king's finances, distributing alms on behalf of the crown, and organizing the king's massive collection of goods needed when he and his entourage were traveling around the country, visiting courtiers and clergy. Just to emphasize the sheer scale of this exercise, the king's entourage could number 750 courtiers and staff in the summer, and as many as 1,500 in the winter. Compton benefited greatly from his position and became one of the wealthiest men in Tudor England. Indeed,
Really?
the chamber pot wielded great power. However,
I'll take the
Compton's
job.
replacement, Henry Norris, did not share the good fortunes of his predecessor. Norris was accused of conspiring against Henry VIII and committing adultery with the king's second wife, Anne Boleyn. He was beheaded along with the disgraced queen in 1536.
I'm not laughing at heads being chopped off. I'm laughing at that was seen as like a... I'm judging. Someone had to do it. It was a very prestigious job, but very sexy job, seemingly too, with Anne Boleyn.
The power of the pot only went so far.
You did your duty, sir.
Elizabeth I. The groom of the stool's importance waned in the 17th and 18th centuries, and the role was eventually done away with in 1837 by Queen Victoria. But that didn't eliminate the nasty habits of the royal rulers.
Good job.
During the reign of Elizabeth I, which lasted from 1558 to 1603, the groom of the stool was temporarily replaced by the Lady of the Bedchamber. Although the queen didn't have a groom of the stool, she was nevertheless a very messy monarch. In the Middle Ages and early modern period,
I want to know if like this is messy, like compared to just what we think, or even like was your average peasant like more clean than the queen? Is that what you're...
bathing was an infrequently
I love how I'm being,
performed
like,
and
defensive
uncommon practice. Elizabeth rarely
Leave him alone.
bathed, rumored to have bathed only 4 times a year, whether she needed it or
hiccups, great.
not. As Europeans began to explore and exploit the New World in the 16th century, sugar from the Americas flooded into Europe. With royal access to this new temptation, which was perceived as a
Diarrhea
status symbol,
incoming.
Queen Elizabeth fell victim to a nagging sweet tooth. She ate so much sugar that her teeth ultimately began to rot and turn black. It was said that she placed a perfumed handkerchief in her mouth before receiving guests to disguise her bad breath.
It's like a medieval...
It is ironic
Tic
that
Tac.
the Tudors used a polish on their teeth that was actually made of sugar and so exasperated the problem. If that was actually bad breath. It is ironic that the Tudors used a polish on their teeth that was actually made of sugar and so exasperated the problem.
Just
If
brush
the
this
sugar
on
habit
there.
wasn't enough, the queen also fell victim to smallpox during her reign, leaving her face etched with ugly scars and
I didn't know
pockmarks.
that.
Elizabeth also used a heavy white makeup known as Venetian ceruse to mask her facial scarring. Venetian ceruse contained white lead pigment, a material that could potentially cause lead poisoning and madness. Along with questionable hygiene, Elizabeth had quite a temper. On one occasion, she swore at a courtier and spat on him because his coat displeased her.
Ah!
One can only imagine the foul experience of being covered in saliva and shouted at by this bad-tempered royal.
Just kill me.
James the
Stop
First.
yelling at me.
Elizabeth's younger cousin and successor, James I, England's first king of the Stuart dynasty, was another unhygienic monarch who rarely bathed. James hated water and never completely washed his hands. He merely brushed the ends of his fingers with a slightly wet napkin. James's poor hygiene caused him to itch constantly, and he produced a vile body odor because he refused to change his clothes. James only actually changed outfits when his clothes became completely worn out. This king also frequently slobbered and picked his nose. As one can see from the
What, picking your nose is against the rules now?
generation and picked
I'm
his
offended,
nose.
sir.
As one can see from the generations of English monarchs, nasty habits, horrific hygiene, and royal rudeness took a seat on the throne alongside the reigning ruler.
Is that the end of the... Oh, wow, that went by pretty quick. I enjoyed that. There's the poop crown. I'm confused. What's going on?
Oh!
Damn it.
Oh!
How does it taste, brother? Cool, I want to see this next, too. Evolution of British uniforms. Okay.
Today?
That was interesting. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. I thought it might have been like bad-tempered monarchs, but it meant literally rotten. But as I understood the meaning of the video, I got less and less surprised, and then more surprised, and then sort of neutral. Because, you know, obviously it's going to be pretty disgusting. So I will come to their defense there. See you guys next time, all right? Hope you're doing well. If you're not, that sucks, but you'll get through it, all right? See ya.